This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
Great living as an artist. The thing that every artist needs to understand is that marketing and understanding the business aspects is really critical, because like it or not, you are a small business and you need to develop some muscles in different areas of business, like, like you've had to develop muscles in shipping and framing as an artist, right? Same thing. You can send your marketing questions into me, email eric@artmarketing.com. And the first question comes from Kate. I'm going to botch this name, Kate Harantes in Garden City, New Jersey. She says, I've been invited to place an ad in a magazine because my work was accepted into a juried exhibition. I think it'll be part of an article talking about the participants in the exhibition, and the ad will cost $550 for a quarter-page ad. I'm new to this, and I'm not entirely sure. Can I afford to lose $550? Yeah. But however, I'm not at the point in my career where I will start advertising on a regular basis. So my personal goal at this time is to build up my name, my brand, and I'm listening to your podcast and reading marketing books. I've entered my most recent drawing into 4 competitions. I've placed in all 4 of them, which I'm so grateful and happy about. At this time, I'm looking for professional validation and recognition that hopefully will play into my success in the future. That being said, I do not wish to waste my $550. I understand that you do not possess a crystal ball and obviously cannot guarantee anything. What would you do if you were me? Well, I do have a crystal ball, actually. What's your name? Kate. Kate. Okay. So my crystal ball is called experience. I've been marketing for decades. Doesn't seem like that's possible. I started marketing way before I got into the art world, building businesses and learning how to market. And I did that by making a lot of mistakes and by spending a lot of money I didn't need to spend. But, the problem is you don't know what you do and you don't need to spend, which is what you're going through right now. I've wasted a lot of foolish money, but I've also made a lot of money based on some things I thought were foolish that turned out to be a good thing. So I'm very qualified to be the closest thing to your crystal ball. Before I answer this, though, I want to tell you one thing, and that is, my business does this. We sell ads. My company Streamline has Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, multiple newsletters, et cetera. And so I have a conflict of interest. So if I tell you something that feathers my own nest, you're not going to believe me anyway. So I have a bias. I'll tell you that up front. I'm going to tell you this, and my sales team would probably shoot me. Don't do it. Yeah, don't spend the $550. Why? Because you do not yet have, Kate, you don't yet have a marketing plan or a specific strategy. So running an ad with no strategy has no value to you or anyone else. If you run that ad and you have high expectations, you're going to be disappointed. And then who are you going to blame? You're going to blame me or whoever you're advertising with. The reality is that publications like mine always deliver the audience that we have. We always deliver them, but we can't control if somebody picks it up and reads it. And we can't control if they're going to respond to it. We can't control if they're going to flip by it. And so there are a lot of things that we can't control, but there are things you can do that will help you control it. Typically, ads fail because there are no readers. That's why you got to be careful who you're buying. Ads fail because they don't stand out. Ads fail because you don't have a specific strategy. Ads fail because they lack a call to action, and ads fail because they don't get enough repetition. All advertising requires repetition. Otherwise, you would see an ad on TV one time and you'd never see it again. Yet, you see a Nissan ad over and over and over and over and over again. You're sick of seeing it. They keep running it. Why? Because it works for a certain group of people every time. I don't know how many times I saw a My Pillow ad, probably 1,000. And then one day I picked up the phone and bought one. And so, I mean, you got to reach people at the right time. You never know when the right time is. You got to be in the right mood. Repetition sells. Single ads typically do not. Now, if you had a strategy, maybe you could run an ad in a group session, or maybe you could run it to support the group, to show your support of it, to be visible in there. But let's dig a little deeper. This is nothing about more than an ego stroke at this point. If you buy an ad, you're thinking, well, I'm in the ad, and then 10,000 people are not going to call. That's the reality. So you got to have a strategy. So the other thing you need to know is who's the audience? Who do they reach? Is it part of my strategy? For instance, let's say that all your buyers are muscle car buyers, maybe because you paint classic muscle cars. I just made that up. Anyway, if you advertise in a gardening publication, you're not likely to reach a lot of muscle car buyers, right? But if you're advertising in a muscle car buyer publication, then you're likely to reach them, right? So that's where the audience fit matters. There's a thing called media marketing, media fit, marketing fit, and message. So, you've got to know where you're advertising, and you got to know what the topic is. Now, we do these special sections. They're designed to sell ads, and they're designed to also help people get highlighted after being in a group show. And that's good because sometimes people will track a group show. They like the show. They want to know more about it. But there are a few things to think about if you're going to run it. First off, what do you want in return for your $550? And what is the realistic possibility you're going to accomplish that goal? Now, the reality is you don't really want more than one buyer, right? You want to sell that one painting. So even though there may be, tens of thousands of people who see it, you really only want one of them to buy it, but you got to help with that process. Most of us will convince ourselves that we're going to sell several paintings from one $500 investment. That's a pretty big ask. If you sold a painting through a gallery, you would pay that gallery 50% of the cost of that painting. They'd mark it up 50%. You're paying them 50% to get you a sale. $500 is a lot less than that 50%, I'm guessing, unless you sell your paintings for $1,000. So here's what I think in terms of strategy. Artists need strategy. Ads are designed to fuel your strategy and nothing more. Ads can do the following. They can build your brand recognition. Branding takes time, takes repetition. One ad will not brand you. Like let's say that out of 10,000 people, only 5 people noticed your ad or looked at it or read your name, but the other people might not see it till the next time or the next time or the next time. One small ad will brand you a lot less than a big ad, right? A big ad stands out more than a small ad because a big ad just naturally does. And you might not get noticed with a small ad. And you also can, when you're running small ads, you can get pigeonholed by the artist who runs small ads. I know that seems crazy, but a friend of mine's a marketing guy, a big author. He says you get known for the smallest thing you do, not the biggest thing you do, because as you get known as the artist who runs the small little tiny ads, that's who you become. And what does that say about you? Are you a full page quality advertiser? Are you a 2-page quality advertiser? Are you whatever? Now, if I run small ads, I buy repetition, so sometimes I'll buy 3 or 4 small ads in one thing because I want those small ads to stand out because they see them 4 times. Sometimes that can be more powerful of a strategy. And a small ad is going to brand you less than a big ad. So anyway, in a group ad, bigger, let's see, a group ad will bring you, you're in a group. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. You're in a group, you got a lot of artists in there. Let's say there's 50 artists in that group ad, those pages. What do you want to do to work to your advantage? Well, the section is going to bring attention to you and all the people in the ads. People are going to flip through it, but the bigger ads are going to stand out more. And you might want to make a statement that you're one of the bigger artists in the group, or you might not. But if you want to make a smaller ad stand out, then you have to have exceptional creative. You know, Deborah Hughes was talking about that, where she said she worked for an ad agency in the creative department. Their whole job was to get people to read ads, to stand out, to come up with headlines and graphics that stand out. You know, headlines make up 80% of the success of an ad. Did you know that? And you don't want to do what everybody else does. What does everybody do in their ads? Picture of painting and their name. Boring. All right. Now, sometimes you can't do more than that if it's a section, but you can look for ways to stand out with headlines, with colorful graphics, with something different, or at least a really, really, really powerful painting. Now, when I can only get smaller ads, like I said, I'll go for repetition. Another strategy is, how do I use my ad to get people to look at my work in the future? So that's when you go into the idea of building a list. So maybe your ad has a picture of your painting and has a little tiny call to action. It says, join my newsletter by coming here to this website, or get a free ebook by coming here. That way, they get on your list. They see your newsletter on a more regular basis, your repetition. That way, you're getting people to join your list, and that's going to help you a lot. That's what I recommend in all things, but sometimes it's so small you can't do it. So, but usually you need an incentive in there. Anyway, what can I offer to help people want to give me their name in exchange for something? So let's do the math. Let's say that you're willing to spend $10 to get a name, knowing that you're going to get that $10 back and more over the course of the next 2 years. How many names will $500 bring you? Well, that'll bring you 50 names to break even. If those 50 names are interested in your work, get on your list, and you talk to them more frequently, they're more likely to get you your $500 back. It's not necessarily immediate. It's not about selling that painting. It's about selling a painting that eventually speaks to them that they see in your newsletter. So that's how a tiny ad space can work to your benefit. It's hard. It can be done, though. Another strategy to sell paintings. Most ads don't sell paintings. They sell artists. They sell an artist brand. There are very specific words you need to say to sell paintings, including calls to action to get people to buy, making sure they understand. You're assuming just because it's in an ad, people think that that painting is for sale, but they're not assuming that, because the research has been done. A lot of people look at ads as part of the editorial content. Oh, that's a pretty painting, and they move on. But if you say, this is a beautiful painting available from Deborah Hughes Gallery, Hughes Skelly Gallery, then all of a sudden they're going to go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Okay. I know it seems like people should be smarter than that, but sometimes we're not. Anyway, the goal is build your reputation, your brand. Your value to the market depends on your brand. Which would you rather own? Would you rather own a John Singer Sargent painting or an Eric Rhoads? Well, of course, it's going to be Sargent. Which would you rather own? Would you rather own a Deborah Hughes painting or a John Singer Sargent painting? Sorry, Deborah, you're going to want John Singer Sargent. But which would you rather have, an Eric Rhoads or a Deborah Hughes? You're going to pick the Deborah Hughes because she's more visible. She's out there. She's known as a great painter. So the idea is you're building reputation. That takes years and lots of repetition, but that's how you do it. Now, you can also sell your appearances at an event, like your ad could say, hey, I'm going to be at this event. Make sure you come by my booth. Make sure you come visit me. I'll be at this gallery show. Is buying the smallest, cheapest ad the smartest thing? Not necessarily. For me, I'd buy the biggest ad, and I'd buy a second smaller ad to reinforce my bigger ad in case you didn't see it. That just reinforces it. That's a very effective strategy. Group ads can be very effective, but be the biggest you can be. If you can, if you can't, you've got to decide, is it going to be worth it? And yeah, it could be worth it, but it's not always worth it. Anyway, I think they're effective, but you need to know what you want out of it before you spend $1 in anything. Don't spend a dollar in anything until you know what it's going to do for you. All right. Next question comes from Veronica Brown in Missouri. The pros and cons of licensing your work for printing. All right. So, for prints. Okay. Veronica, one of my core principles in marketing is to sell when you are sleeping, meaning if others are selling my work while I'm sleeping, then you're making money while you sleep, right? Now, that's why you want to use an art gallery. That's why you want to have an automated online strategy. That's why you do licensing, right? Licensing is a big deal. Thomas Kincaid, I had dinner with him one night, and he told me he was the most licensed painter, artist of all times, exceeding Norman Rockwell. He held the licensing record at the time. I don't know if that's still true. And of course, Bob Ross is everywhere, and that's through licensing. You see jigsaw puzzles, you see bobbleheads. Bob Ross Company isn't producing those, they're licensing his name and his images. So my friend, I won't use names, but my friend is licensed by a big printmaking company, and they also license his paintings on mugs and mouse pads and puzzles and prints and other things. And he worked with a big licensing firm who got him this deal. And he sells images all the time to these companies. Now, you don't get much. You get maybe 1 or 2% of what's being sold, but so what? Somebody sells 100,000 mouse pads, that's real money. And so you can hire licensing firms. There are licensing lawyers. There are 2 licensing conventions. An artist friend of mine I just sent to it is going to be licensing his stuff. Most artists don't get rich doing licensing, but you can get extra income. My friend Charlie, he's making some extra money. And so why not make that extra money every month? Okay. Now, this brings up the subject of prints. Many print companies will license work. That's good money for you. And then, of course, there are companies that sell prints to hotels and stores and corporations, separate companies typically. Sometimes they buy licensed prints. You want to reach out to those companies. Should you do prints? Well, if you go to an art show, a tent show, city art show, you want to have a bin of prints because you got the big original on there. And a guy like me might go, oh, I really like that. I'd like to remember that. And you don't want to take a picture of it. And you would like to have it, but you want to buy the $50 print, not the $5,000 painting. So at least you're making something off of it. And you may never sell the painting, but you might sell enough prints to make it up. Now, Thomas Kincaid told me his biggest regret ever was selling his originals and not retaining the licensing rights. That's tricky, but he spent the last decade of his life trying to get all of his originals back for his museum. You put the time into creating an original, you can sell it if you want, but if you get the better stuff, you might want to sell it. But you want to make sure whenever you sell things, you have the proper copyright information on the back of the painting that says copyright 2023, Eric Rhoads, all rights reserved. That way they can't sell the licensing on it. And if they do, you can go after them. Not that you would, but you might. So selling prints yourself, you can make some money. I think that's fine. But if it depends, some galleries don't like it if you do it. So talk to your gallery owners, see how they feel about it. There's a whole back industry discussion going on about prints. So you'll have to find out, if it doesn't work for you. You can sell G clays, which are bigger reproductions on canvas, a lot of things like that. I don't know. I don't sell my prints. I don't make prints. I don't sell them. I only sell originals, but I don't sell enough paintings. I have another job full time, so I only provide a few paintings to a few galleries, and they sell what they get. But I don't want to get into prints. That's just a personal choice, but I don't see any downside. Anyway, I hope that helps. That's the Art Marketing Minute.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.